In the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, was investing in infrastructure to plan for growth that the leaders at that time knew was coming. But the data are really interesting if you look at the charts in the report, because the pace at which we invested dramatically changed in the early 90s. We've begun spending fewer and fewer of our precious revenue dollars on planning for the future in Arizona. And that began in the early 90s. So here's some perspective for you. We're among the nation's leaders in population growth. Roughly 5%, 1 in 20 new U.S. residents over the last 15 years is an Arizonan. 5%. But if you look at the data, somewhere in the vicinity of 2% of the nation's investments in infrastructure, I'm talking highways, education, public safety, take place in the state of Arizona. And that's very different than what you saw in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So highlights back then, some of them were federally induced, like the Central Arizona Project. We had investments coming out of World War II made by the federal government in our highways, in our airports. We had major private sector investors step up to the plate.